Good morning, this is Jack from Charts in the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 15th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at Charts in the Markets or Substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, one thing to say here is I'm mainly talking about equities and oil separately, but of course, a major crisis in the oil market, which I'm thinking we may be in the early stages of here, will obviously probably have an effect on equities as well. We will see how that develops, but I got to say, there was something I was looking at last night, and that was, hang on, wait a second. I don't know if it's going to deliver, but there's a nice little head and shoulders here. It's really not bad. We've got a very nice right shoulder. We've got left shoulder. We've got a right shoulder, which is more or less at the same height. This actually, if this was to break down and make target, would take us down about 120 points, which really, given the overall war background, doesn't seem unreasonable at all. And also, given the this fairly strong move up, which has obviously been fairly slow, but nonetheless fairly powerful. I'm wondering about that. The short-term rising wedge broke down. We've got a head and shoulders, which is formed. I'm wondering about that. So I'm thinking we could see that play out today. We did have the three bullish leading days this week, which have somewhat been interrupted, obviously, by the war in the background, are Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Well, Wednesday and Thursday don't have a bullish lean, so it would be interesting, and I wouldn't be astonished to see that happen. We will see. All right, let's have a look at the short term. Nothing really happening on ES here. We don't have an equivalent head and shoulders here. We will see whether or not we see anything develop. NQ is getting pretty close to the this wedge resistance trend line. I wouldn't call this a flag because it comes from a lower high, but it is certainly a wedge. And I'm wondering whether this might be where this breaks up. RTY, have we got a head and shoulders here? Yeah, and it's really not bad. It hasn't broken down yet, of course. This would be the left shoulder here. This would be the head. This would be the right shoulder. Sustained breakdown, which I would say we've also already got a double top, which is broken down with the 29.10 to 29.14 range. Breakdown from that, we get a target down to about the 28.50 area. I'm wondering whether that might happen. And honestly, I'm a little surprised the equities have held up as well as they have in the face of the war news this week, which, let's face it, has not been good. 60-minute buy signal still reached the possible near miss target on YM. Do we have an equivalent head and shoulders here? Arguably. It's not as nice, but is it potentially there? Yes. Sorry, the line is not responding at the moment. All right, there it is. I'll just draw that quickly. And actually, the left shoulder and the right shoulder are actually reasonably balanced. So it is something to bear in mind, even if I'm not thinking this is a good enough pattern to really hang your hat on. But this is that has got potential. So we've got both RTY and IWM potentially showing topping patterns here. DAX, not really seeing a lot. We're just consolidating here. ESTX consolidating, kind of looks like a bear flag. YM, and Nikkei, we had a buy signal that made targets. I am wondering whether we're forming a flag here. Hey, Doug. Could be, or a triangle. We'll see how it goes. All right, so let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. As I was mentioning on SPX, we do have a pretty nice looking head and shoulders here. And I'm wondering if that might deliver today. I'm a little surprised that, given the war news has been so bad, and really not looking that promising at the moment. We're seeing an escalation. We're seeing it spread across the Middle East, and we're seeing, despite what Trump is saying, I suspect the Iranians have absolutely zero interest in talking at all at the moment. Altogether, that's not good. So we will see how that goes, but I'm wondering about some weakness here. And this head and shoulders is quite a nice one, and would take us down about 120 points from where we are at the moment if it were to deliver. In terms of the daily chart, we're obviously still holding one above the daily middle band. On the daily RSI 14s, obviously across the board we have daily RSI 14 sell signals fixed, and those are something that may well be start delivering fairly quickly if the war news gets bad enough. But at the moment, that doesn't seem to have affected it much. In terms of the hourly chart, we're pretty close to a retest of the all-time high. But not showing a lot of interest in getting there at the moment. No current divergence on the 15-minute. All right, looking at the Qs. The Qs, we are still kicking around the daily middle band. We closed below it yesterday. This is a pretty obvious triangle consolidation on the daily RSI 5 here, and this could obviously break either way. On the hourly chart, no current divergence, but this looks like a bullish triangle overall. 15-minute chart, not a lot to see either. All right, in terms of Dia, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here, obviously, as well. We are getting pretty close to a back test of the daily middle band. We haven't made it yet, but, it's thinking about it. So hourly chart, no current divergence, 15-minute chart, no current divergence, but you can see the rising support is currently at about the 520.3 area, I think. So if we are going to go and get that, we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at IWM. And IWM, on the daily chart, we are still back testing the daily middle band, and that is still holding as resistance, and that is weak. Qs and IWM are both down below the daily middle band, and that is weak and is suggesting potential for downside. Hourly chart, nothing really. Here, the rising support from the March low has now broken again. We've got a little head and shoulders here, which broke down with a target in about the 286 area. That's not showing any, 287 area. That's not showing any sign of making target at the moment. And this is kind of looking like a bull flag, but I'm concerned about the distance below the daily middle band at the moment. Looking at DAX, just consolidating at the moment. Did we close above the daily middle band? Marginally, yes. Nikkei still kind of looks like a bull flag, and we are testing support at the 50 DMA at the moment. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. DX broke up slightly from the flag, but is not really showing much sign of actually doing anything from there. We're just kicking around, as we are on quite a few other things. Well, we're waiting to see how the war develops, I think. ZB. Potential bottoming action here. ZN, I've drawn in a potential inverted head and shoulders forming here. Generally speaking, well, we are looking at some sell signals on the hourly charts on oil. We could see some retracement here. Not that easy to see how that's happening on the news at the moment, but we could well see some retracement here, and these sell signals make target. We have got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed on Brent, and we've got another one on CL, we've got another one on HO, and we've actually got a full 6-minute sell signal which is fixed on gas oil with a nice looking little level top here. HO, possible topping, short-term topping action. I'm wondering about going lower, but if the news suddenly goes bad, then these signals will fail while this ratchets up, so be wary about that. NG, this looks like a rounding bottom at the moment forming, possible IHS. 60-minute buy signal has not reached target yet. Looking at GC, still wondering about a retest of the low. SI, still wondering about a retest of the low. Palladium, we've got a nice looking bear flag, but it hasn't broken down yet. Platinum, I haven't drawn in the flag here, but that hasn't broken down yet either. And HG, we've got a decent looking bear flag. That also hasn't broken down, so we will see. Looking at the, not a lot to see on the other currencies. KC, looks like a bullish consolidation in progress. Sugar, we have a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed, not really delivering much so far. CC, we've got a possible head and shoulders forming here. It's not as nice as it was yesterday. We will see whether or not that's got the juice to break down and deliver a move to the monthly pivot and a bit below that. Looking at lumber, wondering about a retest of the high. CT, we've got a possible inverted head and shoulders. Well, an inverted head and shoulders has broken up with a target and a retest of the May high. That actually looks like an obvious thing to be doing. In terms of wheat, we had a sell signal here that failed, and the double bottom has made the first target, so I've signed that off. Corn heading higher at the moment. Soy, possible double top here, but not showing any enthusiasm about breaking down. ZL, I think, is heading back on into a high retest here, so we will see. Live cattle continuing down at the moment, and lean hogs still looks like a bear flag forming. All right, let's have a quick look at questions, of which we have none, in which case I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.